It's been 2 rounds for 2005 and 3 winners have surfaced over 4 days of rally action. The velvet green grass and the beautiful valleys of the Wairarapa, the perfect scene for the 3rd round of the Parker NZ New Zealand Rally Championship. Good afternoon, team. I'm Clint Brown. Glad you could join us on 3 Sport for highlights of Rally Wairarapa. Plenty of bush, plenty of rain means plenty of skids. And the big question was, could Richard Mason make the most of the rally being based around his hometown of Masterton for the first time as a round of the National Championship?
Masterton, home of the Golden Shears, and Ekatahuna, surely New Zealand's weirdest place name, are home to the rally on day 1, while the remote village of Pongaroa hosts the rally on day 2. Pongaroa isn't really famous for all that much. However, I found out that Bruce Herbert, the 4 times New Zealand rally champion, was actually born and bred right here in this town. When the noise of the rally gets too much, you can come to the Mount Bruce Wildlife Centre. The 700 hectares of land you can see behind me are the breeding ground for some of New Zealand's most endangered species of birds. Pretty impressive, even on a rainy day like today. 344 k's over 12 stages. These roads will test the drivers and the cars, with a mixture of fast county roads and tight, twisty backcountry lanes, with the surface softened up by recent rain.
And it's tight at the top of the points table too in the battle to see who'll be the Parker NZ Rally Champion for 2005. Mark Tapper has consistency on his side and a slim 1-point margin over Chris West. Emma Gilmore has shown great skill to be 3rd overall in just her 3rd season of rallying, ahead of a much more experienced Marty Rostenberg. But all eyes were on Richard Mason to show the way with his local knowledge.
There's some roads that we have some idea of where we're going, and there's others that we've got no better idea than anybody else, but hopefully, because we more than likely know maybe what the conditions are going to throw at us more than anything else, hopefully that'll help.
You're 1 point behind Mark Tapper in the championship. We're sort of getting to the midway point. It's getting to critical time.
It is getting close in the championship, and obviously we're looking at depending on what happens this weekend, if we can go out and run with Richard and perhaps beat him on one of the 2 days, then that's what we're looking for. That's why we're here, and if not, we can we have to obviously settle for if we can get to 2nd for both days is what we're looking at, and perhaps come out of this round here at Wairarapa leading the championship.
But with Tapper's broken leg now well on the way to healing, he was equally determined to keep the others at bay.
We've got a slim 1-point lead over Westy, and we'll be chasing us hard. It's a bit of a funny thing here. We've got a yellow door banner. It's a bit like the Tour Leaders jersey. Hopefully we'll still have it at the end of the weekend.
You're obviously running 2 on the road. Do you think running up the front here is an advantage or a disadvantage on these roads?
It depends of how wet it is out in the stages. There's a few of the stages that were fairly heavily gravelled, but if it's real wet, then it could be to our advantage. But if it dries up, it'll be a disadvantage. But
Stage 1, Daggs Road, 14 kilometres of hilly county roads on a rainy, cold morning. But before we check out the action, our rally man, Roger Davis, has a rundown on how a rally works.
The rally is split up into 2 sections. There's a competition side, which is a special stage, which is a closed road, but there's the other side as well, which is a touring stage. Now, this is where the driver and the co-driver navigate to and from the special stage. They use a road book that gives them all the directional information, and they travel on the public road and must obey the road rules and keep within the speed limit. We're at the start of the special stage. This is where the competition begins. The countdown has begun and they're ready to blast off into the distance. The drivers drive flat out through the stage with absolute commitment, using all the road because they're racing against the clock and the clock doesn't stop ticking. And the driver who is the fastest from the start of the stage to this point here is the special stage winner. Part of the touring stage is the service park. This is where the drivers bring their car in, they stop, the mechanics check the car, they refuel the car, make any necessary repairs in the time required, and send the car off to the next special stage. And on this rally, there are 12 special stages. So the driver that ends up here with the least amount of time ends up on the podium as the rally winner to spray the champagne.
And one guy keen to get a taste of that champagne on Sunday was Mark Tapper. He came here set to increase his championship lead.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And on stage 1, he threw down the gauntlet, setting a blistering time of 9:53.
60.
He had an average speed of about 90 kilometres an hour, and his Michelin tyres were well suited to these public road stages, despite the rain.
Very long 4 left.
Richard Mason, the Masterton man. He knows these roads very well, and he was determined to also set a fast pace. And that's exactly what the Subaru driver did, 3.5 seconds back from Tapper's Mitsubishi. As defending champion, Chris West has to run number 1 on the road. If the weather had been fine, he would have been at a great disadvantage, having to sweep the loose gravel off the road. But the rain had settled the score. The road surface was more mud than dust. But he still fell back 7 seconds to Tapper in third. In the first 2 rounds of the championship, those 3 drivers had a distinct advantage over the remaining pack. But Palmerston North's Sam Murray has been one of the 5 drivers to lead the rest of the pack.
Start 4 right, 400.
And after significant work on his suspension during the break from Otago, he was seeing great improvement in his Subaru. Just 0.2 seconds behind West at the end of the stage in 4th. Not breaking the 10-minute barrier, but leading the next group of drivers was Glenn Smith. And the second Mitsubishi after Tapper in his Evo 8.
Into 2 right, 60. Very long, 4 left, 30.
Emma Gilmore's Evo 6 is one of the oldest cars in the championship, but she hung in there, just 1.5 seconds off Smith in 6th and 4 seconds ahead of Marty Rostenberg, who had old buddy Greg Harnett along as co-driver.
It's good to have Greg back in the car again. He's a very confident guy and he gives me a lot of confidence, and we had a good time yesterday when we were out doing the roads, so really looking forward to being able to lift our speed.
And this was the team's first outing together since an horrendous crash in 2003 had left Rostenberg with a broken back. Dean Sumner from Rotorua virtually tied with Rostenberg, just half a second behind. Tai Happy's Brett Martin got off to a bit of a slow start, 20 seconds off the pace in 9th. But he still had a 5-second buffer over Dylan Turner, rounding out the top 10. So with Tapper laying down the challenge, who would respond first? Well, they wouldn't need to worry.
2, 1, go. 150, 6 right plus. To 150. 4 left, opens, don't go wide. And 80, 5 right, into 3 left. Into 3 left. That's a little bit fast, mate. You all right?
Mark, you won the first stage this morning, but it all went wrong in the second.
Yeah, I was surprised to win the first stage. I thought it was pretty ugly. We were struggling for traction, and in the second stage, I sort of tried to tidy up, but just came too hot into a corner, and I could have been further to the right. It looked as though Westy had sort of cut, a metre further into the grass than I had, and I just couldn't get it back. Just was carrying too much speed and sailed straight off the road and into a tree.
How much damage have you done to the car?
The damage is fairly significant to the body of the car, but the wheels seem to be all pointing straight ahead, so we'll sort of fix some temporary repairs today and hopefully be back there in the morning.
Running first on the road is West, unaware of the drama behind because he's driving fast to set his own pace, but he's having problems with the road. Besides the shingle, the gear selection problem, which started in Otago, is also back again. And it's time for the stage, 13 minutes, 1.9 seconds.
7 left and 4 right and minus.
So it was Richard Mason who became the real pace setter on the longer Barton's Line stage at 12 minutes 56.9 and an average speed of 107 kilometres an hour. Emma Gilmore was third fastest, taking her up to fourth overall in the rally, but she was 21 seconds off Mason. And that was putting pressure on this man, Sam Murray. He was 4 seconds slower than Emma on the stage, now just 2 seconds ahead of her overall.
Long 2 left tightens, don't cut.
Brett Martin was having a much better run through this stage too. Fifth fastest, just half a second off Murray. And Glenn Smith was just under a second behind. This battle for third to seventh was separated by just 20 seconds. The difference may be coming down to tyre choice. The roads were much softer underneath the gravel than expected, and you can see on board with Smith that means the road is slushy in a lot of the places. Marty Rostenberg was the other Mitsubishi in this battle, but he was 8 seconds slower through the stage and now trailed Brett Martin overall by 6 seconds. On board with the Foxton farmer now, Grant Barber. Just look how bad the road is getting as the rain turns the mud into slush. So, Roger, how would that affect their driving?
Well, the earlier cars are throwing the mud right into the centre of the road. And you can see where he comes to this junction, the tyres are actually digging in, but they're not getting any traction. So tyre choice is absolutely critical through this stage.
So after stage 2 out in front, it's Mason, West, Gilmore, Murray and Martin as they head for the regroup and the rethink at service.
Looks like tyres this morning, tyre choice has been fairly critical.
Yeah, everyone's decided on different things, so wide tyres, narrow tyres, mud tyres. I don't know what the perfect choice was. I think that we chose our tyres fairly well. Dunlop are pretty good, so we're fairly happy.
Chris, 2 stages down. I think you're 9 seconds down on Richard.
Yeah, it's sounds a lot, but hopefully it's not too much of a buffer to make up this afternoon. So yeah, we're happy. Like the Winger Impreza's like perfect as we set out in the morning. It's what we expected. It's we tried, and maybe if we had the opportunity to have a softer compound tyre, it would obviously been the way to go.
Tyre choice this morning appears to be fairly critical, so you're happy where you are with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're never going to have the perfect tyre, just like you're never going to have the perfect setup of your car. Rallying's about compromise, and I think we compromised just right, and had grip in some parts, and then had to back off a little bit in other areas, but it's just how it goes.
Throughout the season, you had a ding-dong battle with Sam Murray. Looks like he's 2 seconds in front of you up the road, so it's all on again.
Yeah, it's good having someone where you're so close, because it's a real sort of indicator of where you're at, and to keep improving and keep getting faster.
Coming up on the Rally of Wairarapa, the Kiwi 2 cars bang and bash through the stages. Giddy moments for Grant Barber. Two shorter stages now, the 15-kilometre Central Mangawano stage, followed by a short 7k sprint through the Quarry Road. But it was to be action-packed for most of the drivers. Chris West was having gear selection problems again, especially on the critical high-speed fifth-gear corners. He wasn't losing much time, but it surely didn't help his confidence.
Flat small crest 80, 5 right minus 100. 6 left plus tarmac.
And on the very next stage, he did lose time with this.
30, yes.
That half spin bent the rear suspension, and now the car wants to turn left all the time. And just look at how he manages to keep it in control and only loses about 6 seconds. Glenn Smith was also in trouble in stage 3. A brake hose coming loose and leaking. The result, a scary realisation at 160 kilometres that he wasn't going to stop.
Coming up 4 left plus 100. All right, well, if you've got no brakes, well saved. About 2 k's to go. 4 right plus 80. Just watch those brakes, okay? 6 right plus 100 and 6 left plus 30 to long 4 right plus.
Yes, well saved. Amazingly, he was able to keep the car under control with a bit of partial braking pressure. Grant Barber was the next to strike problems. His car just tags the bank and suddenly he's just along for the ride. But a lovely figure 8 though. Unfortunately, the collision had crushed the intercooler pipe and they would limp out of the stage. Out in front, Richard Mason still maintained his perfect record, winning both stages. His lead now nearly 16 seconds. Brett Martin had a real charge on these roads. 3rd on stage 3, 2nd on 4, moving him up to 4th overall. Marty Rostenberg too had a better run, and with Smith's brake problems, he was able to move within 1 second of Smith's 6th place. Although the car was about to get a little bit lighter after brushing the fence and losing a light. Not so good for Emma Gilmore, who struggled for pace on these roads. The Evo 6 not as good on the loose surfaces and suffering from handling woes. She was still 3rd though, but Brett Martin was just 5 seconds away. Dylan Turner was also improving through here. And Leanne Barnes moved into the top 10 for the first time. And now here's Abby with the latest update on the Kiwi 2 cars.
9 Kiwi 2 cars started this rally, and Dave Strong wasted no time taking a lead. He was knocking on the door of the top 10 overall through these opening 4 stages. And by the service at Eketahuna, he had a lead of 37 seconds.
Yeah, I'm confident. We're not taking any risks and the times are still there, so yeah, you've got to be sensible in conditions like this.
James Hancock was back in his Integra. Having sorted the suspension problems from Otago, he was more confident in the car's ability. He was 2nd in the class. But the Honda domination was being challenged by Shane Watkin in his Nissan Pulsar. After running it all 2004 with a standard engine, the team finally had a new high-performance unit in the car, along with a Nissan Motorsport rear wing to improve the aerodynamics. It was looking good for Watkin until stage 4, when he crawled through on 3 cylinders. John Roberts challenged early in his Proton, lost 30 seconds on the 2nd stage when the hatch opened, but was challenging again by stage 4. But by the service, it was defending champ Jason West who was up to 4th in the Suzuki. Reese Musson had moved ahead of Roberts to claim 5th in the class. And James Holder slipped ahead of the ailing Watkin car to claim 6th. Reg Cook was the main casualty of the rally in the morning, rolling out on stage 3 after running 5th in the class.
So with just 2 stages to go on leg 1, Richard Mason held a 15-second lead over Chris West. Emma Gilmore holding on to 3rd, but 51 seconds off Mason, with just 5 seconds back to Brett Martin and another 3 back to Murray. While the gap between Rostenberg and Smith was just 0.1 of a second. And stick around after the break, the pressure is on as the roads get slippy in the Wairarapa. Cold, windy and wet, the final 2 stages of leg 1 would take the rally back towards the base at Masterton. A gruelling end to the day too. Stage 5, Manga Oranga Road, 15 kilometres. Stage 6, North Road, 14 k's. So Chris West was determined to claw back some time with the help of his team. He didn't need to win this day. As with Tapper out, second place would put him in the championship lead. But with pride at stake, the challenge was on.
30, small crest into 3 right.
His time through the stage, an 8 minutes 32.5. Richard Mason had dominated all day. He was 0.3 seconds slower through the stage, but still held the lead.
7 right 30.
West still charging on stage 6, and Roger, his driving is really committed.
Yeah, it's very important that he keeps the car nice and smooth as he comes through here. He keeps the car nice and tidy on the driving line. He can't afford to get up on that loose stuff. Now watch this, at the end of the straight, we've got a surface change from gravel to tarmac. And as you can see there, Chris has just misjudged that a little bit. Maybe came in a little bit too hot on the tarmac. Of course, the tarmac being wet will be very slippery. And when you are committed, sometimes that does happen.
Settle now.
Also nice and settled, Sam Murray.
86 right plus 120.
But he wasn't settled for long because he was having a late charge at Emma Gilmore and Brett Martin. Taking a second off Gilmore, and now just 2 seconds away from Martin by the end of stage 5.
7 left and 4 right 30.
But on stage 6, the roles reversed. Murray would finish the day in 5th, 2.2 seconds down on Martin. Emma Gilmore was 5th fastest on stage 5, and then a great run through 6 saw her second fastest, securing 3rd overall for the first leg of the rally. Brett Martin had spent the whole day chasing Gilmore's Evo 6, and it was no different over these 2 stages. 0.3 seconds behind her on 5, and 6, 0.3 seconds again. So these 2 drivers were really matching it for speed, but Martin having to settle for 4th place. Glenn Smith had recovered from his brake failure to hang on to a gallant 6th place. He was unable to make any gains on 5th place Sam Murray over these 2 stages and remained 12 seconds behind.
7 left into 4 right 30 and 5 left minus 100.
But if that seems close, Marty Rostenberg was just 0.3 seconds behind after stage 5. He'd finally finished the day just 2 seconds down on Smith in 7th. It was 47 seconds back to Dylan Turner, but only 2.2 seconds back to 9th place, Dean Sumner. And a great drive coming in from Leanne Barnes leads the rookie challenge in 10th. So a great day for Richard Mason, who takes the leg win by 23 seconds from West, with Emma Gilmore 3rd. But West moves into the lead in the championship.
At what stage of the day did you think you got this in the bag?
Probably just after the last stage for the day. No, maybe the stage before that we thought, well, you know, it would be unlikely to take a lot of time out of us on the last stage. So, no, it was good.
As far as the road conditions today, were they as expected?
Stage 5, when we went back through there was a stage we'd used this morning, part of it, but run backwards, and I was quite surprised how much grip there was in there. And it just goes to show that with all that loose stuff swept aside, there is a hard base down below.
Plenty of activity too around Chris West's car at the final service, but the defending champ was philosophical about his action-packed afternoon.
We had a spin in the last stage. We were trying. We've been trying all day, you know. It's just little bits and pieces they've hooked us up. But now the boys, like, you know, Subaru Rally Team New Zealand, once again, they've got in there in 20 minutes and you know, fixed the car midday, and they're doing the same again now.
I noticed the guys are underneath changing the gearbox. Was that a plan?
It's just we've got a problem selecting 5th and 6th gear. Probably won't use it as much tomorrow, but it's better to safe than sorry.
Emma, looks like you come home for a strong 3rd place. It's been a good day.
Yeah, it was a definite battle all day. Everyone's so close now that you just can't let up at all. So very happy for 3rd.
Yeah, I see that Brett Martin came through for 4th. He was only about 4 or 5 seconds behind you.
Yeah, he was very close going to the last 2, so we knew we had to make sure we pulled our finger out for those last 2, and yeah, did a good job, and the boys made sure we went out on good tyres, and yeah, it made a difference.
After we come down here, just wanted to get some more points, and I was aiming for a top 5, and yeah, well, I've done half the work, and just got to work towards tomorrow and see how that goes.
Sam, eventually 5th. It's been a bit of a tough day for you.
All seems to be coming too familiar now. just had a really bad sort of afternoon. After stage 3, had about 3 little spins in there, and the car's sort of not bad now. It's just me, I think. I don't know what it is, but it hasn't been a good afternoon for sure.
But a great afternoon for Dave Strong, taking the class win in the Kiwi 2. James Hancock held on for an excellent second in the larger Integra. And on the other scale, the super mini Suzuki of Jason West was third.
So the master to man, Richard Mason, has done the business, winning the first leg of the Rally of Wairarapa, using all his local knowledge and experience of racing around his hometown. Talking of experiences, this is what we want you to win on 3 Sport. It's the Rally Drive experience with Dale Perry and the team. Just answer this simple question. What type of car does Brent Taylor run in the Parker NZ Championship? Is it A, a Mitsubishi Evo 10, B, a Subaru Evo 1, or C, a Mitsubishi Evo 6? Send your answers to rallydrivenz.co.nz. Be in to win a $400 Rally Drive experience. And talking of experience, here's Abby with the local man from Masterton.
When you stop in at the BP Servo at Masterton, don't be surprised if the man behind the pump is top rally driver Richard Mason.
So this is the usual start to the day for me. Out on the yard, pumping a bit of gas.
Born and bred in the Wairarapa, Richard's passion for cars is reflected in the family business, which includes the gas station, a workshop and a car yard. But the seed was sown growing up with a rally driving dad.
Yeah, probably going back to a very young age. I used to follow my father very closely. Although we didn't go to many rallies when we were young, it was always something that I wanted to do. I'd always be out watching him work in the shed, and he'd let me go for little rides when he had to test something, and you know, I was hooked right from the start, real young.
The 2005 season started late for Richard, missing round 1 Rally New Zealand, but coming away with a first and a second at Rally Otago.
In the right circumstances, yes, I think we could catch them, but if things don't go our way or other people drive exceptionally well, then no, maybe not.
The pressure to perform at home is high, but you get the feeling that Richard thrives on it.
It's probably best wrapped up by saying that it is an addiction. Once you've been in the car and you've been going well, everything goes slow motion once you get to a certain pace, and once you really push the limits of your own capabilities, and that definitely happens for me.
Coming up, it's the pedal beaters' heaven as all hell breaks loose on the loose roads of the Wairarapa. Day 2 and all new points up for grabs as well. Day 2 was based around Pongaroa. The first stage, Horeika Road, 19 kilometres, then Rimu Road, a 10-kilometre sprint before the service.
3, 2, 1, go.
Once again, it's Chris West, first on the road. Today there's little rain, so would the gravel on the road have more effect on his times?
Into 4 right plus long. Into 4 left.
It's not long before West strikes problems.
30, 4 right minus narrow. Into 4 left.
And that spin would cost him around 8 seconds.
Leave it nice, Simon. Opens and then tightens. 34 right minus.
But on the next stage, West is on fire, fastest through the stage in 6 minutes 25. No surprise that Richard Mason is fastest on stage 7, 11 minutes, and on stage 8, he's just under 2 seconds slower than Westy, even though he suffers a puncture. Mark Tapper had a lot to make up for after his day 1 crash on stage 2, which had cost him the lead in the championship. On stage 7, he's second, just under 6 seconds slower than Mason. But the next stage 8 is disastrous for the Manukau driver. He slides off into a water table and is lucky to get out.
Long 1 right.
But he loses over 20 seconds, and at the end of the stage, he'll be out of the top 5.
Small crest, 4 left minus.
5 left.
The battle for third was led on the first stage by Glenn Smith, determined to make up for his brake problems on day 1.
Good.
He was third at the end of stage 7, just under 2 seconds ahead of West.
Gravel, Kings 450 to 4 left.
But by stage 8, he had to bow to Sam Murray.
Left plus, feet long, 4 left plus, 5 right and 30. 7 left minus, finish 30, and 7 right plus 30 to 4 right tightens to 4 minus up.
Sam Murray was 6 seconds faster through stage 8 and moved into third place by 2.2 seconds. With Tapper losing time on stage 8, everyone was moving up a place. Weston second, Murray third, Smith fourth, and now Brett Martin was 2.7 seconds back in fifth. And he had a 7-second buffer over Tapper. 2 stages gone on leg 2. Richard Mason 1, Chris West 2. It's the same as day 1, but the battle for third is topsy-turvy. Sam Murray now in the prime position. The first of 2 40-kilometre plus stages now, Waihoki Valley Road, nicknamed by many of the drivers as the Mini Motu because of its tight, twisty nature. So let's talk tyres now with Roger.
Aside from compound and brand, teams have the black art of tyre cutting to help improve performance using a hot tyre groover. The tread is cut away to increase the tyre's ability to cut into the muddy surface.
For the road conditions it is at the moment, we only need to do every second one. If it was really, really muddy, we might open them all up and give it a bit more of an aggressive cut.
5 left minus.
So that's the reason why the tyres will play a big part here to help the drivers be aggressive. Chris West set off to try and catch Mason. All he needed was 6 seconds over 41 kilometres.
Into 3 left, but pipes it to right lane. Into 3 left.
But halfway into the stage, another spin for Chris West, losing precious seconds. Eventually his time across the line was 28 minutes, 2.4 seconds.
Tightens again. And 4 left plus.
Chris, a bit of a problem there on the front of the car in that long 40k stage.
Yeah, it's unfortunate we hit a rock. I think it was roughly around 22 k's in, and just pushed the wheel back, and hence we went into the bank and spun again. So yes, that's what you get when you're trying.
Richard Mason's time through the stage was 28 minutes, 5.2 seconds, 2.8 seconds slower. Those spins by Wester kept Mason in the lead by just 3 seconds.
100.
But joining the Subaru battle up front, Sam Murray really put it together with a great run through here. Just 0.1 of a second slower than West, but it gave him a 38-second buffer over fourth place Glenn Smith.
4 right 30.
Smith was the fastest Mitsubishi, but 36 seconds slower than West. It appears that the road was more suited to the Subaru, who tend to love that tight, twisty stuff. But remember, those guys were running at the front of the field, while Smith was running 6th on the road, which by now was starting to cut up. The longest stage of the rally, Manuhara Road, posed a real challenge on day 2, 44.5 kilometres, and would climb to the highest point of the rally. Chris West needed to stake his claim here for a win, as Winger Subaru Impreza has the best technology of any of the cars, the team to back it up, and the proven combination of driver Chris West and co-driver Gary Cowan. So let's go on board the chopper now as Roger takes us through the driving style and the big run through this long stage.
Well, Chris West entered the stage with a 2.9 second lead, so it's absolutely critical he holds on to that. He has to keep the car nice and straight and tidy through this stage. And as you can see there, Clint, he's holding nice lines through these corners.
And also because it's damp, it won't be so much of a disadvantage being first on the road. So the big question was, could anyone catch his time with 30 minutes, 34 seconds, 0.9? Richard Mason, the other guy on the attack in the other Subaru.
Well, Chris West looked good through the stage, but just look at the lines Richard Mason is taking. Dead straight and tidy. He really has to be. He's got 2.9 seconds to make up. Watch him through this corner. Nice and tight in, and no oversteer coming off the turn.
Another guy trying to go from apex to apex is Sam Murray. He complained, Roger, about day 1. He couldn't get in the groove, so how's he looking here?
Well, on day 2, Clint, he's going a lot better. He's holding nice lines through here. He's starting to really enjoy the car. A little bit wide off that turn, but he's really starting to get the groove of this car. And on the onboard shots here, you can see he's using as much of the groove that the previous cars are left. Keep the car in the middle of the road, not getting to the wide at all, and that's obviously going to be a lot faster.
Mark Tapper complained about wrong sort of tyre tyre choice. They were soft for the stage, but a bit too wide. How would that affect them, Roger?
Well, you can clearly see there as he came out of that turn, he had a bit too much oversteer, slight bit of understeer going through there. Let's watch him through here. And yes, he's got a bit of oversteer coming off that corner there. Now remember when we saw Richard Mason, he was keeping the car dead straight. With Mark, the car's just floating as he comes in the corner. It comes in a little bit too early, it's floating a little bit too wide. A lot of time lost when he's coming through those corners, and it really hasn't been a great day for him.
But despite all his dramas, he's actually fourth fastest on the stage and moves up into the top 6. Now, Emma Gilmore had 2 nasty moments already in the day, suffering a bit in confidence. So how would that affect her over 44 kilometres?
Well, that could be a crucial point, Clint, because earlier in the day she had problems with her pace notes. Now, on these roads, see how fast she's going. Absolutely crucial that these pace notes are delivered at the right time. And they had a bit of an issue with that this morning, but they seem to be going well now.
On board with Glenn Smith, fourth going into the stage, but under pressure from Brett Martin.
Well, Glenn's very similar to Sam Murray. He's taken a while to get used to the production car, but he's slowly getting better and better. The nice line coming out of that turn as he goes into here, cuts the apex, cuts right inside. And, of course, he's under pressure, as you said, Clint, from Brett Martin right behind him.
And Colin Smith, as co-driver, has a very direct approach to calling the notes, doesn't he?
Yeah, and that's absolutely critical, especially for Glenn. Is the note you can hear him say repeat again. It's a confidence boost, and he gets the notes out at exactly the right time, makes the driver go that much quicker.
Yes, it's the old clear and fast message. Martin was the man who was putting the pressure on despite his young age and relative inexperience at this level of the sport. But the young Taipei guy is going very well in the rally scene. Marty Rostenberg was complaining about a lack of boost from his turbo. His times were consistently down, but the team couldn't find a fault in the car. But on this stage would be tough. 21 competitors went in, only 16 would come out the other end. Grant Barber may have been warming up after a slow start to the morning stages, but things were about to get pretty hot.
I got that right.
Yeah, no, I mean, what happened? It just went wide.
Yeah. You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure?
Just take a look at the violence of this impact on the replay. You can see the drivers are thrown around, but look at the safety measures of these rally cars. Their helmets, a real head-banging moment, but they're locked into their harnesses, safe and sound, even though the car's been, well, bent out of shape. And in fact, that left the Cat Rentals team and the Foxton farmer a little bit cocky, as you can see there. Just 2 weeks to get the car back in shape to head to Rotorua. James Hancock had taken the lead in Kiwi 2 class after Dave Strong punctured on stage 9, but then he broke a suspension arm and rolled into a stream on the stage and out of the rally. And rookie Tony Burrows was unlucky when he slid into a culvert, and that left him with no front suspension after the car collected a concrete drain and the pipe, as you can see there, munted. So it was all action on that stage, but Chris West won it by about 10 seconds to open up a 12-second lead over Richard Mason. The third Subaru is in top 3 place. That's Sam Murray. The leading Mitsubishi, Glenn Smith.
Chris, looks like you've got a bit of a smile on your face. You've taken the rally lead.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming, though. It's been an exciting day, but that last stage we just probably slowed down a little bit and got through unscathed. So hence it's changed the leaderboard up the front.
It's a long stage and small things can make a big difference. We maybe took a little bit too worn tyre. We used a second-hand one in there and it was maybe not a good choice.
You've got 2 more stages to go. 13 seconds behind Chris. Can you get in front of him?
We'll definitely try. We're going to give it a go. Maybe the second road might suit us better than the first.
We'll stick around to see who crosses the finish line first in the rock and roll in the rally of Wairarapa.
At 5, rugby first. All the action from Wellington against the Lions, plus last night's Battle of Carisbrook. And we look forward to the first test, the All Blacks and the British and Irish Lions. 12 years in the making, all on 3 Sport and Chic Quattro Arena.
38 kilometres over 2 stages and just 16 survivors left from the 23 that set out from Masterton on Saturday morning. And over such a short stage, it seemed unlikely that Mason could make any impact on Chris West's 12-second lead. And this time, a smooth run for West, no spins, and he just breaks the 10-minute barrier for the stage with a time of 9:59.5. Richard Mason on home turf now, not showing any sign of giving up the fight. Just 0.3 seconds slower than West through here. And these two really showing that they're a class above the rest on this particular stage on this particular day. Sam Murray was 7.5 seconds slower, so that's about half a second a kilometre of difference. Runs a bit wide there, so there's just a couple there.
4 right minus and 4 right minus 50. 4 left, 7 right times to 4 plus.
The fastest Mitsubishi on the stage is the old Evo 6 of Emma Gilmore. After a dismal day, she had finally something to smile about. 4th fastest, beating Mark Tapper on the stage when he'd also had a clean run. James Holder's Toyota looked like it had been more like a stock car meeting by the time it had battled through to the end for 16th overall and 4th in the Kiwi 2 class. Shane Watkin had also had an up and down rally with his engine problems, 15th but getting valuable 3rd place in Kiwi 2. Brent Taylor had been knocking on the top 10 until he hit a bank, happy to salvage 14th in the Evo 6. Jason West, 13th overall, 2nd in the Kiwi 2 class, the little Suzuki having another trouble-free run. Leanne Barnes taking top rookie again, 12th after losing time with a puncture. Dave Strong had lost 3 minutes but still came through with a 1 minute 40 win in the Kiwi 2 class and a respectable 11th overall. But disappointment for Marty Rostenberg, losing time off the road on stage 11, slipping back to 10th. Dean Subner had complained of handling problems all day, so 9th wasn't too bad for the Rotorua man. 8th overall, Dylan Turner after picking up his fastest ever stage time. 7th for Mark Tapper was a real disappointment. He'd come into this rally as the championship leader, but would now be heading to the next round in 4th. 6th for Emma Gilmore on a day when the Vantage Aluminium team had struggled for form, but she was still 2nd in the championship. And Glenn Smith wiping away the window, just losing a bit of time to Brett Martin, but still happy to be in 5th overall. And it was the great last stage charge by the Taipei driver Brett Martin had secured him 4th by just 5 seconds. Sam Murray had talked about stepping up on this day. He knew his car was as good as it needed to be, but he was unsure about his own ability. But today had been another step forward for the talented Palmerston North driver, proving to himself that he had the confidence to drive fast at this level.
6 left, 30. 5 right, 180.
So it was all down to Chris West. To win this leg, he had to stay just within half a second a kilometre of Richard Mason's time.
Plus 30. 3 right long, tightens into 3 left, tightens.
And it's a clean run, posting 13 minutes, 22.5 seconds.
All right, man.
Was it enough? It was an amazing run by Richard Mason, who charges through the stage to win in 13 minutes, 3 seconds to take the rally win by, wait for it, just 6.9 seconds. So the first time his home event as part of the national scene, and the Masterton man takes the win from Chris West with Sam Murray 3rd.
Your first podium of the year, you've ended up 3rd.
Yeah, very good result. You know, like yesterday was a bit disheartening having 3rd and then losing it. But, you know, to get 3rd today and having the car right, you know, we made a lot of changes last night, some big changes. You know, it was a 50-50 whether it would pay off, and today it did, so very, very happy with it.
Awesome weekend. We've come away with the championship lead, and, you know, that's what it's about. It's the championship we're here for, and, you know, just fantastic. My whole team, Sparrow Rally Team New Zealand, we had them pretty busy all weekend, but it was a good battle.
Yeah, we definitely had to pull one out of the bag. The last stage was about 22 k's long, and we took 19 seconds out of Westy, so we had to the full-on charge there to make it happen, but we were determined to come away with the win, so that's fantastic.
In the points, West is now ahead in 145. Gilmore just 1 point ahead of a hard-charging Mason. Dave Strong leads the Kiwi 2 class from Jason West and James Holder. And no surprise, after this result, Subaru lead the Manufacturers' Trophy. So as the crews celebrate with the Daniel Lebrun prize giving, we look forward to the next round, the International Rally of Rotorua, where once again they'll be rocking the hard place.
From Hawke's Bay. That's all.